All right, so over the last several weeks, we've been talking about the Grand Canyon and then other canyons and mountain ranges and the different ways that the earth is shaped and how things change on the earth. What are some ways that the earth has changed?
It used to be super, super cold, and now in some places it's cold, but sometimes it's hot.
Okay, I'm more thinking about the landscape, but you're right. Okay, Owen?
There used to be only continents.
Okay. So what has changed the shape of the earth, the layout of the land? What are some things that's changed it?
Like rocks and lava.
Okay. So where would lava come from?
Water. Volcano.
Volcanoes. Okay. What did you say, Cash?
Water.
Water. Just water sitting still? Just
No, water going fast.
Yeah, moving water. Owen?
Like maybe lava coming out of the mantle of the earth.
Okay. Lava, definitely. If there was volcanic activity, that would definitely change the earth. The layout and the landscape. We do live in Earth. You're exactly right. Hey, what else?
I just have a question about Earth. Like at the very, like the center, like the core, is it hot or is it like super cold?
What do you think? Would you think it would be really hot in the center or really cold in the center? Based on what you've read.
It's really hot. Really hot.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in just a minute when we read this passage. All right, so we've talked about moving water. We've talked about volcanic activity. What else? What are some other ways that the earth has changed? Look at this. What are some other ways? We've talked about several. You've read about several. Olivia?
Sea.
Okay, the ocean. Definitely, that's moving water. What else? Owen?
People building buildings.
Yeah, people have changed the landscape of the earth.
Like overgrowing that, plants that overgrow.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Chopping down trees.
Okay. What about, there's two words that we've talked a lot about. It's been a couple weeks. There's two words. What is it?
Erosion.
Erosion. What is erosion?
I forgot. I remember.
What's erosion?
I was gonna say the other one.
Okay, what's the other one?
Weathering.
Weathering and erosion. Those are two big processes that change the landscape of the earth. So erosion is when rocks and soil, dirt moves by water. We've talked about water. What's another way that the soil and the rocks could move? Sediment is part of it. You're right. But how does that sediment get moved? It gets moved by water. What's another way that it gets moved? Owen? Wind. Hey, Olivia? Animals could do it. We talked a while ago about people. Yes, ma'am? Okay, so like gravity, right, could pull it down. All right, so weathering is the process where those rocks break down. And then the sediment, Olivia mentioned sediment. Sediment's when that soil is moved from one place to another. Then that is the sediment. So we know that volcanoes, we kind of talked at the beginning about volcanoes. Those definitely, if there's an eruption of a volcano, that definitely can change the landscape of the earth, right?
Yeah.
Most definitely. So let's read together your first day, the one that was assigned. It says, to understand volcanoes, you must first understand Earth's layers. Earth's center is made of two parts, the inner and outer core. The core is made of liquid and solid metals. The next layer is the mantle. The mantle is solid and made of very hot, soft rock. The final layer is the Earth's crust, which is the part we see. The crust is hard and brittle. Volcanoes form when hot liquid rises from the mantle through cracks in the Earth's crust. So would the center of the Earth, the middle of the Earth, would it be hot or cold? Hot. What tells us that it's hot?
In the passage it says it's sold and made of very hot, soft rock. The final layer.
Yeah, because it's made of hot and soft rock. So how do volcanoes form? What happens for a volcano to form?
Well,
What did it say? Amy, how do volcanoes form?
by
Look at your passage. I want evidence from your passage.
hot liquid rocks rise from cracks and crust.
Hey. The very last sentence tells us, doesn't it? Volcanoes form when hot liquid rock rises from the mantle through cracks in the Earth's crust. All right, so let's look now at our diagram of the Earth. It tells us to use information from the passage to label the Earth's crust, inner core, outer core, and mantle. Before we do that, let's look over at the vocabulary. What is the core of the Earth?
The very middle.
The very middle, or the center. It says it's the center of the Earth, made up of how many parts? Two parts. There is a liquid outer core and then a solid inner core. What does the word inner mean? What does it mean, Jacob? Inside. Okay. And then outer would be the outside. So if I put numbers on these blanks that we have to label, if I made this one 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which one of those is the inner core? 4. Yeah, the very inside is the inner core.
I didn't put inner core. I just put core.
Well, can you just put core?
No, because there's an inner and an outer.
Yeah, there's an inner core and an outer core. And even though they're both the core of the Earth, they're very different. Where would the outer core be located, Christopher? 1, 2, or 3? 3. Okay, so the very inside or center is the inner core. Then we move out to the outer core. What's this next layer? What's the next layer, Ansley?
The mantle.
The mantle, very good. What's the outer layer? What's the outer layer, Keith?
The crust.
The crust, very good. All right, so thinking about those vocabulary words now. Are we making words up to put in these blanks in section B?
No.
What words are we using?
The vocabulary.
The vocabulary words. What are the vocabulary words, Alexis? Core, crust, and mantle. So am I going to have any answers in part B that are different than core, crust, or mantle? No, I'm only using those 3 vocabulary words. So number 1 says, hot rock rises from Earth's blank through cracks in Earth's blank. So hot rock rises from what part, Owen?
The mantle.
From the mantle. And it rises through cracks in what, Ansley?
The Earth's crust.
The Earth's crust. Very good. Okay. Number 2. Give you just a second to get that written. Earth's blank is hard and brittle, while the blank is soft and hot. Which part of the earth is hard and brittle, Amy?
Crust.
The crust is hard and brittle. And which part of the earth is soft and hot? Riley, which one's soft and hot? Not the core. The mantle. The earth's crust is hard and brittle, while the mantle is soft and hot. What does it say about the core?
It's hard and brittle.
Not the core. That's the crust. Go back and read the second and third sentence to us, Owen. Okay, does that tell us that it's soft and hot?
No.
Mm-mm. All right, so now you're going to have to do some thinking for part C. Which do you suppose is made from the densest, heaviest materials? The core, mantle, or crust? What do you think? Take just a minute. What do you think would make up the densest and heaviest materials? Christopher, what are you thinking?
The crust, because it said in the story, the crust is hard and brittle.
Okay, it says it's hard and brittle. Does it say that it's the densest and heaviest? Okay, Jacob, what are you thinking?
The core, because it said it's made up, it's solid and very hot.
Okay, so maybe the core. We've got a vote for crust too. What are you thinking, Owen?
The core, because it's made out of liquid and solid metals.
Okay. Think about something that's heavy. What normally happens to heavy things?
Brings it down.
Yeah, they get brought down, right? So based on that, where do you think the densest, heaviest part would be, Keith?
The mantle.
You think it would be over here in the mantle, right underneath the crust? If the heaviest, densest stuff usually sinks or gets to the bottom, yeah, it's probably going to be in the core. We can, using some reasoning skills, we can say that the core is the densest because it's beneath the other layers and the heaviest material usually sinks.
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
I don't get it. Because isn't the crust, which is around all of that, like protecting the crust and everything inside?
It is. Yes. The crust is the outer layer.
Don't we live on the crust?
Yes, we do.
We live on the crust of the pizza.
What?
I'm thirsty.
Oh, I don't have it. Everybody does. Whoever does what? Well, at least in this classroom.
Okay, make sure that you have your answers completed.
I don't have a pencil.
Do we change our answers or keep them how they were?
Well, is your answer correct or incorrect? Then do you think you should change it? Probably so then. I would change it.
Can I get a pencil? I want a pencil.
All right, let's take a look at day 2. What 2 vocabulary words do we have on day 2? Keith?
Magma and lava.
Magma and lava. Very good. So lava is magma that flows from a volcano. And magma is the hot liquid rock that comes from the mantle. All right, so let's read the passage together. The hot, soft rock in Earth's mantle is always moving. Heavy rock sinks toward Earth's core, while lighter rock moves closer to the surface. As the lighter rock gets closer to the crust, there is less pressure pushing against it. The rock begins to expand and turns from a solid into liquid magma. While the magma flows from a volcano onto Earth's surface, we call it lava. As lava cools, it turns from a liquid back into a solid. Now it is hard rock, not soft the way it was in Earth's mantle.
No, I can bring my boss. He was a big truck driver.
Mm-hmm.
He got me and my sister and my brother. It came from a volcano.
Some lava rock.
Yeah,
That's really cool. Okay.
I'll have to bring it next week because I'm not my mom. So
Okay. All right, so let's look at part A. The directions tell you to write true or false. Number 1 says magma that flows from a volcano is called lava. Is that true or false?
True.
If we look at just the definition of magma, it says it's hot liquid rock that comes from the Earth's mantle. And lava is magma that flows from a volcano. So magma that flows from a volcano is called what? Lava. So that's true. Yes.
Okay, now we're talking about magma, and my game, I don't debate with magma.
Okay.
Why?
All right, let's look at number 2. The heaviest rock in the mantle becomes lava.
False.
Why do you think that's false, Owen?
Because it says the lighter rocks will go higher.
Exactly. The second sentence says heavy rock sinks toward Earth's core, while lighter rock moves closer to the surface. So the heavy rock sinks closer to the core, and the lighter rock comes up and is what becomes lava. So that is false. All right, number 3. The rock on Earth's surface is harder than the rock in the Earth's mantle. The rock on the Earth's surface, which part of the Earth, thinking back to to day 1, which part is the Earth's surface?
Crust.
The crust is the surface. So the rock on the Earth's surface is harder than the rock in the Earth's mantle. What did it tell us about the mantle?
That the rock that's in there gets melted down.
No, it's hard.
It said the mantle is made of hot, soft rock.
I thought
So which one would be harder?
so.
The crust is harder. So that one's, the rock on the Earth's surface, or the crust, is harder than the rock in the Earth's mantle. That is true.
I thought they left the rocks in the plug. I was like, no.
All right, let's look at number 2. Compare and contrast rock in the mantle to lava. Name one way they are the same and one way they are different. Compare and contrast rock in the mantle to lava. So what do we know about rock that's in the mantle?
It's soft.
It's soft. It's what else, Jacob?
Hot.
It's hot and it's soft. What else is it doing?
Moving.
It's always moving. Okay. What do we know about lava?
It's
hot.
moving.
It's
It's
hot.
hot and
It's hot. Okay, it moves. So that's when it flows from the volcano. So it's moving. So how are those two things the same? Jacob, what are you thinking?
They move and they're very hot.
They're very hot and they move. How are they different?
One is a
Jacob, how are they different?
liquid and one is a solid.
Yeah, which one's the liquid?
Matte lava.
Lava is liquid. And mantle is a what?
Solid.
Mantle is solid. Very good. Alright, so we know from our vocabulary, from the definitions that they give us, magma is hot liquid rock that comes from the Earth's mantle, and lava is magma that flows from a volcano. It says, according to the passage, what is the difference between magma and lava? What is the difference between magma and lava? Keith, what are you thinking?
magma is a type of rock.
Where is the magma?
Inside the
It's in the Earth's mantle, isn't it? It's underneath the crust. Okay. So, what are some ways that they're different? How are magma and lava different? Keith said that that magma is inside the Earth's mantle. It's below the crust. So, what about lava? What about lava, Jacob?
It's above it in a volcano.
Yeah, it's above it. So, magma is below the Earth's crust, and then lava, when that magma leaves the inside, the mantle of the earth, then it becomes lava. So we can say that magma is below the earth's crust. And lava is above the crust. Yes, sir.
I wrote something different.
Okay, what did you write?
Magma turns from solid to liquid and lava turns from liquid
Okay, very good observation.
Miss Whitley, what if a volcano's empty? How deep is it?
It depends. So let's think about what Jacob said. Jacob said that magma turns from a solid into a liquid, and lava goes from a liquid back to a solid. Is he correct? Yeah, it tells us in the passage, the rock begins to expand. I'm going to underline as I read. The rock begins to expand and turns from a solid into liquid magma. Then it says, when magma flows from a volcano onto Earth's surface, we call it lava. As lava cools, it turns from a liquid back into a solid. So Jacob is also correct. Does anybody have a different answer than what I wrote or what Jacob just said? Okay.